Hello there, Stanley Carr here. I love collecting music and sports memorabilia. Want to know where you can find some? I'll tell you. Go to oldglory.com. This website features one-of-a-kind apparel from your favorite sports teams and musical artists. And I can help you get 15% off of all items. Use the code WWH135. Enjoy the episode.
Welcome to Wrestling with Heart, a podcast looking at pro wrestlers giving back to their community. Join me, Stanley Carr, as I interview wrestling's hottest names who use their platforms as entertainers to raise awareness and do community service.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Wrestling with Heart. This is the show where we talk with professional wrestlers and professional wrestling personalities about their lives in and outside of the ring, as well as doing acts of charity work, community service, volunteering, and spreading positivity. We're always about the positive vibes here on the show. Before I introduce my guest today, I want to take this time to promote our brand new book, which you can see right here on the screen. It's Champions for a Cause, Volume 1. It is a collection of interviews with some of your favorite professional wrestling personalities. I am talking about Jake the Snake Roberts, Tito Santana, Mark Marrow, Buff Bagwell, and so many others. It is available now as a paperback. You can get it on Amazon.com for $15. With me right now, I've got a very special guest. He is the current Global Honored Crown Heavyweight Champion, part of Pro Wrestling Noah's, also been in the WWE as well. I am talking with Shane Haste. Welcome to Wrestling with Heart.
Thank you for having me, mate. Thank you for having me. Good to be here.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. So you're from Australia, coming from that amazing continent. So many beautiful sights there. Tell me about your childhood and upbringing.
Okay. So I was born. That was one thing. I generally usually start with that. That's where. Born in Perth, grew up throughout the West Coast most of my life. My dad worked as a carpenter and then on mine sites, so we were traveling a lot between small cities up north. They're probably towns compared to what a city is in America, but there and then between there and an even smaller town a little bit more south. Just going from school to school, things like that. Pretty standard. Well, I don't know. Maybe a standard childhood. I mean, I went to 6 or 7 different schools. I never lived in the same house for more than 2 years until I was in my mid-teens. So I feel like that, to already connect things to wrestling, I feel like that helped me in wrestling or in the entertainment business, because I'd have to move schools, make new friends, and you don't really you get over being shy really quick that way. So I became a very outgoing person very, very early on in my life.
Yeah, it seems like starting again from scratch when you go to a new place, it can be daunting at first, but over time you kind of have to start getting used to it. Yeah. Because you're constantly going to be moving and pivoting to different places. So it definitely seems like it helped kind of prepare you for, like you said, a career in wrestling. And
in entertainment especially. That it helps you kind of realize who you are and being. Well, I mean, you could go either way. You could just go into a ball and become inwards, but if you go outwards and trying to can't try to be who other people want, because you don't know what they want because you're not there and it's new. So I learned to be okay with who I am. It's just lucky that who I am is really amazing and cool and humble. So that definitely helped.
Were you always big into wrestling? Did you have any favorite wrestlers that you watched as a kid?
Oh, it was just another thing that was on TV to me. It wasn't wrestling per se. It was just another, because we have Transformers, G.I. Joe, things like that. So this was just another thing that I saw along with that. So it's just another action kind of thing that I saw. It wasn't till I was in my teens that I was like, oh, this is its own separate thing. Because I grew up, when I watched it on TV, it was just through my earliest memory is someone had it on when we were at a family friend's house. And I remember it was I think it was Macho Man and someone in a cage. I just remember it was an old cage match. Cage looked amazing. I'm fairly sure it was Macho Man. And it was cool. I was like, oh, that's cool. And then the next time I saw it, it was on TV, like the middle of the day, 4 o'clock on Channel 9, I believe it was on. And so that was just like, you get home from school and I just watched TV. So it's just through channel flicking that I would watch wrestling. It wasn't that I was specifically going out of my way to watch it. So I was just watching whoever was on, things like that. I wasn't really paying too much attention to who it was. And then when I got into my very early teens, I had a friend his whole family loved wrestling. They were the first ones to get the new VHSs when it went to the video store. And so through him, I started to learn who the people were and what it actually was.
Yeah, and I think too around this time, I believe you're talking about like the 80s and 90s. Kind of amazing how it's sort of like transitions, because when you get into the 90s, you see a lot of the guys from the 80s kind of like they change their characters, they evolve their characters, and you get like the newer stars, that next crop of talent come in, and it's like, wow, to see what they're able to do in the ring, it's phenomenal.
Well, it was definitely so early 90s was where I started learning who the people were and things like that. Then there was about a 2-year gap or so where I probably didn't watch wrestling. I just didn't. I moved from there, so I wasn't able to get it. We didn't have pay TV, and then they started playing it really close to midnight. And it was probably about 97, 98. And I was there, I was having a sleepover with mates and we were just flicking through the channels. And then WWE, WWF Superstars was on. And I was like, whoa, I recognize that guy, but that's not what they looked like when I saw them last. Like, it was that where they stopped becoming such big characters and became more humanized and things like that. Or the colorful costumes kind of went away, and like the Undertaker was less of a hokey costume, and now he was this cool, like dark minister. And I'm like, well, I know that guy. And then same with like Mankind was more Mick Foley at that point. And I was like, yeah, that's what nobody looks like, but he still had the mask, so he was recognizable. So that was pretty cool. And then that really got me back into it.
Yeah, the Attitude Era was just on the cusp of cutting edge. It really was entertaining television, a soap opera, if you would, weekly. And it really was the talk of the town, the talk of the water cooler. If you were in school in the 90s and early 2000s, you'd be talking about it the next day. That's how big wrestling was. And it carried over into other parts of pop culture. You had MTV talking about it. You had the local sports channels were talking about it. You had all these different kinds of platforms and outlets for wrestling to be on. It's amazing to see its influence.
Kind of. In Australia, we didn't have any of that. We had so if you didn't have pay TV to watch watch Raw or Nitro, I think it was. I was in a WCW guy, but then you didn't, and those were 4 weeks behind as well. So we were just watching the VHSs, the pay-per-views. So that's all we're watching, or a half-hour recap show once a week. So it really wasn't too much about the storylines. For me growing up, it was about the characters, because like the superstars would kind of spotlight the bigger moments. And then the pay-per-views are always, usually, back then especially, were about the matches. So you'd get a cool hype video that recapped the last 4 weeks, and then you get the match. So from an early start, and maybe it was because I wasn't watching the weekly shows, it was about the wrestling to me. It was about the wrestlers and the wrestling to me and my friends. Because I didn't have MTV. I didn't have all these crossover bits. I really just watched pay-per-views every month.
Do you remember the time where you decided, I want to pursue a career in this? It's some people, they know they want to do it as kids. Others, they kind of fall into a little bit later. What was your story?
But probably like my mid-teens, I remember watching it, and me and my friends, we could do this, and we would backyard, we'd fight, we'd do it at school, but it was very much, it came a lot from playing the video games. We were video gamers, and so we'd have sleepovers where we're all in the back games room and it was got all the mattresses there already. So it came from that. Me and my friends, I actually thought I invented pro wrestling. I used to back room wrestle with some high school friends when we were like 12 or 13. And I didn't know it was predetermined. So we used to just fight in the back room, and we weren't trained fighters, so we don't know what we're doing. And I always just assumed like to hit a suplex or a body slam, I'm like, you just have to be good. Because I'm like, I tried to do it to my friend who doesn't want to take it. And I'm like, oh man, this is really hard. So it wasn't to me that, it's a team sport. It was that you have to be good to be able to do this. So there was one time I still like kind of booked the fights or whatever. But it was just me versus you. And I was fighting a guy who was much, much smaller than me. And I was like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if like I let him win? And so like I used to have like my finish was essentially a spear where I'd like just pick you up and drive you into the ground and wind you. And I was like, what if I kind of like landed off the mattress and pretended to hit my head and let the guy pin me? And I did. And like all my friends went like nuts for it. And I was like, oh yeah, that's what they're doing all the time, isn't it? Shit. But for a split second there, I thought I invented pro wrestling.
That's crazy. So did you play like any sports like basketball, track, football?
Yeah, track and field, Australian rules football, cricket in the other season. And like, because my parents are very athletic. My dad played a lot of sports and my mum did track and field growing up. So we always did track and field was one thing. And in Australian schools, we do track and field every year. Like that's a thing that everyone does. And I used to be like pretty good at the sprinting and the high jump and stuff like that. And so I did all that and like, yeah, Aussie rules and things like that. But I wasn't much of a team sport. I played field hockey. I was actually pretty good at field hockey until you get to a level where you have to pass. And I'm like, I don't like to pass the ball. I'm not a pass the ball kind, especially as a kid. I'm like, I just want to be in the middle. I want to have all the attention. But then you get to a level where if you don't play as a team, you'll play a team who is a team and you just get whooped. And I got to that level and I'm like, this is not for me.
Do you feel like that background, having that sort of a background, helped prepare you for entering in the world of pro wrestling?
Not so much that, but it just helps me be fit. Like I was a fit kid growing up. Got good athletic genetics. I did judo. I did like me and a couple of high school mates would go to a hall and pay $3 and do judo with this guy. There was no gis or anything, but that definitely helped set the base for rolls and break falls. So then when I did start pro wrestling training, they're like, all right, we're going to learn bumping. And I'm like, oh, what's bumping? And I'm like, oh, this is break falling. I'm like, I know this. So that definitely, like, if you don't have to think about that, that's great.
Talk to me about your experiences learning how to wrestle. You had your time, as we talked about a bit ago, with the backyard stuff, but now You're finally entering in the actual schools. This is the real deal. You're getting inside the squared circle for the first time, and you're learning from all these different people. Was it intimidating for you starting out, and how are you able to sort of break out of the shell if you were nervous?
No, it was easy for me. Like, because I had a bit of a background from coming into wrestling, playing the video games probably more than watching it. I'm going through selecting characters and I'm going through every single move, and it shows you like the moves. You know what I mean? So I'm studying. I was actually like monkey see, monkey do with the moves. So through backyard, we used to like just try all the moves on each other all the time anyway. So hold on, sorry, someone's at my door. Sorry, mate.
Okay, it's okay. We'll put a pause.
The door battery change. I've never had that before. So,
no worries.
Yeah.
So anyways, you were saying?
So yeah, we played the video games and like I'd study the moves from there. And then when we were backyard and when we were at school, we'd kind of just, me and my friends would just go through it and just hit move after move on each other. So that part came easy. The break falling, I already knew. Conditioning wasn't too hard for me. And so I originally started at the EPW, Explosive Pro Wrestling School. And and the people there were only a couple years more experienced than myself. Like I looked up to them as like they were so much older, but they were only like 4 or 5 years older than me. And they themselves had only just kind of got proper full training themselves a couple of years beforehand. So they were kind of learning as we were learning, which is cool. But like, as long as you got the fundamental there of how to kind of put a training session together, a lot of the rest of it was everyone growing together and figuring out and improving together. And everyone had a little bit of input. I was 16 at the time, so I was just like listening, and I had unlimited energy. Like we did a lot of just rolls and break falls and just drill after drill. So the way I learned how to wrestle was very drill based and just lock up, headlock takeover, lock up, headlock takeover for an hour, stuff like that. You know what I mean? Which, because I loved it and I loved being in the ring, I could do it all day. And there was points where, like, on a Saturday, training started at I think 9 a.m. I'd have to leave home at 7. It took me 2 trains, a bus, 2 trains, and then I had to walk a mile to get to training. And then I'd be there until they kicked me out of the building. And I remember, like, there's some points where we were like, shoot off the rope, clothesline. And I would do that till the guy clotheslining me's arm went dead. And he's like, all right, like, I got to stop now.
Well, you seem very dedicated and committed to the industry when you are talking about staying after and staying later. And you really are showing that this is something that you want to do. And this is something that you are passionate about.
Definitely.
I'm sure, like, during your time, you had people like legends come in to coach you, guest spot coaching you. If you had those experiences, what were they like? And any pieces of advice that they gave you, or even your trainers gave you when starting out, that you still apply to today?
Oh, it's hard. It's more like, so the first, and this is like a weird thing. It makes sense now, but like at the time, like, so we didn't have too many legends in Australian wrestling. We bought an old ring from a guy, I can't remember what his name was, but before my debut match, he's like, just put a headlock on for 5 minutes. If you didn't, just put a headlock on, just put it on. And like, you can't put a headlock on for 5 minutes, unless you work it and blah, blah, blah. My opening match, like, we'd planned it for months ahead. It was just move, 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 move. So psychology. And after the match, he's like, that was the best match I've ever seen. And there was not a single headlock. It was not a hold. There was no rest points. It was a 4-way elimination match where we had 10 minutes. So we just went balls to the wall. But Jag Hartley Jackson, who was just Jag at the time, or Hartley Jackson, he was a more experienced wrestler from South Australia. He came over. And the first time he came over and we did trainings with him, I cannot remember what we did for training, but I know at the end of it, we just had a tag match on the fly, me and someone else against him and David Storm. And it was his confidence in the ring that when you're in there with someone and you're like, and then they're just smooth, it helps you click things of that. Jun Akiyama was another person who I had a house show match with, and he was the same. I was like, just the way he moved and made a meal out of something so small. It's kind of those experiences more than someone telling me. And that's the same way I was in school. I'm not a write down kind of thing. I'm a hands-on learner. So it's being in the ring with more experienced people that really helped me put it together. Little bits like working with Marufuji-san after some of our first matches in Japan, him like teaching the structure of, rather than up and down like a Japanese match goes short and then goes on a up. And that helps with the crowds too, because the crowds, like, they know it's the start of a match, so they are quieter at the start of the match, getting that experience. Who else? Matt Bloom gave me some good advice of the best matches are when, well, it was advice, but it was a good saying that I remember, because we had a match with AOP for the second Dusty Classic, I think. Yeah, opening round, and we were just rather than trying to be the more strong team, we were both just trying to like take as much from each other. And so that became a thing. He said the best matches aren't when they it's when opponents try to outsell each other. When two opponents try to outsell each other, that's when you're going to get the best matches. So that one's the one that I like to think, because if you're working together to make each other look as good as possible, and you try to outdo that, then you're both going to look great, hopefully. So there's some examples of things like that, and it is really just being around more experience and things like that. Like I trained with Harley Race, and I don't really remember any advice that he gave, but it's just that feeling of confidence and that, you know, things can be okay. You don't have to rush anything. Like, because that's every bit of advice that every older guy says to younger people is slow down. And that doesn't mean do nothing. It just means be confident in what you're doing and you'll be okay.
Yeah, and so over time you start developing a sense of confidence, and once you get those
100%.
first few matches under your belt, you feel much better afterwards because you got it over with, got it out of the way, and you've been able to have so much experience and being able to work in not only different styles but in different countries. Working in Japan currently, we were in the WWE, coming to America, and that whole experience. Who recruited you to come to WWE, and how did you get signed with the company?
So I would say that's Matt Bloom. That was a Matt Bloom thing. So we'd met him in Japan. Me and Mikey, our contracts with Noah were coming up, and we'd been there on and off we'd been there for 5 years. And so it was time to try, like before we got too old, try something else. So we did reach out to him. He organized us to have a tryout. And yeah, it all came from there. We went to Orlando, did a tryout, got signed. Took a little while to get my visa, and I had to get knee ACL and whatnot repair, but that wasn't a big deal because the visa takes a little while. So within that time that my visa got processed, I was able to get surgery and fully heal from that. But yeah, definitely it was a Matt Bloom. Canyon Seaman was the talent relations guy or whatever it was at the time. Got along great with him. He was really good to me and Mike. He loved Australia. That helped. Like he was a big beach volleyball, beach kind of guy. So we lived in Perth, like right on the beach. I'm like, yeah, man, I love beach too.
So you get to Florida, you come to NXT. It's a whole nother animal in itself because
definitely
it's smaller crowds, but eventually you get experience because you're working eventually in bigger arenas when they do the loops and whatnot. And so you were there at least 4 or 5 years because you started in NXT working. You mentioned the Dusty Classic a bit ago. Then you get called up to the main roster as part of Retribution, which was a crazy faction. It was so much going on. How did that whole deal come about? Because this was right in the heart of the pandemic too.
Well, the thing is, like I was doing main roster stuff before Retribution. I think at one point, and I was so close to this, and this is what I want. Like I almost lost a match on every show in 1 week. So I did NXT main event and Raw, and I lost all. And I was like, I just needed SmackDown, and I would have got. I'm like, that's the thing that probably no one's ever done. It's like in 1 week. But yeah, so like me and Duke Hudson were the original Hurt Business. I like to joke about. We were with MVP on Raw before, but this is all like, so they were doing it at the Performance Center, so in front of no crowd or just the other wrestlers, the other trainees. So it didn't have that feeling of being on a thing because like I'm just going to training. You know what I mean? I'm just doing a training match. So, which growing up in wrestling, me and my friends used to just have matches in front of no one all the time. So I'd done the indies with small crowds before that, before going to NXT. Like Noah, I was doing Noah, and we were wrestling in front of a couple thousand people, and then a couple thousand more for the bigger shows. I'd done Tokyo Dome with however 20, 30,000 people. So scaling back to NXT, the house shows was fine. It's just American crowds are different, Western crowds are different, and the NXT, the WWE machine is different too, where it is more of a TV show than a wrestling company, especially nowadays. It's very much more. Back then too, it was a little, NXT was more strict for some people. Like, we weren't allowed to do like a lot of the things that what got us over in Japan, they wouldn't let us do there, and they didn't want that from us. And me and Mikey, whenever I say we, I mean me and Mikey, were always successful by doing what was asked. Like, so we went to Japan and they said, do this. And we went, yes, sir, we'll do that. They like, start again. Like, we'd been wrestling for 5-10 years and we'd become top stars in Australia. So to go there and then start again at the bottom, we're like, okay, we'll do that. That's what you want. That's what we'll do. And then you rise up. We go to America and they're like, NXT's kind of like, all right, you need to start again. You need to refine your thing. We want you to be good guy baby faces. We're like, yep, cool. That'll pay off. Blah. And it doesn't. It didn't work. And like, I talk to people and they think it was good. I think it was terrible. But yeah, so it's a different company. Like, and yeah, it's a whole different beast.
It's hard not being able to wrestle in front of a live audience because they are the lifeblood of the show. And during the time when WWE and AEW and all these different companies were wrestling in front of a limited crowd or no crowd at all, seemed to be very frustrating, was it not?
Nah, it's fine. I don't wrestle for the crowd. I wrestle for me. I didn't get into wrestling. I mean, it's great. Crowds are great. Benefits, like, that's cool. Also, to preface, I was a heel at that time. Being a heel in front of no crowd is much easier than being a babyface, because like a babyface feeds off the cheers. You could say a heel feeds off the boos, but not necessarily. I can feed off of my opponent. But as I said, I wrestled in Japan where it's less of a heel face kind of thing in that crowd aspect. So wrestling in front of no crowd was fine for me. I had no problems with that. I like wrestling because I like wrestling. I don't like wrestling because I hope someone else likes watching me wrestle. That's just an added benefit. That's just one of the perks of it if you can have a huge live crowd, because it's awesome when you have a huge live crowd. But it was also fun too when we would wrestle at the PC and the crowd was the other trainees and the other lower wrestlers, because I knew how to push their buttons, and that was fun to me to piss off my peers.
Well, don't you feel that the crowd adds value to the show because it's engagement? You want to be able to.
That's a perk. That's a perk. But you know, you can go back to that COVID era where there were no crowd matches, and some of those matches are still great matches whether there's a crowd there or not. You know what I mean? You can't argue that. If you're watching it, you can be a crowd of one. You know what I mean? If you watch wrestling at home, I think it's like Dave Marquez said something too to me years and years ago of like, if a match is good on mute, like, you know what I mean? Something along the lines of, you know, sometimes you're not going to watch with a crowd noise, but a match is still a match whether there's audio or you watch it on mute. But also, yeah, I have been in front of a huge crowd and it is so much more awesome. Like, it definitely helps. It definitely helps. And it is a very, very cool feeling to be in front of a big live crowd. But also, man, you can be in front of a big live crowd and they don't give a shit. So that can be rough. That can be more disheartening.
So Retribution gets formed. You make your debuts on television.
Yep.
Describe the feeling of this new gimmick. How did you feel playing this role, being a part of a faction like this, and how you felt the group was handled going forward with the company?
So like they started doing the Retribution stuff at the old PC before they moved to, where was it? The Orlando, whatever the Thunderdome. Before they moved there. So they'd started doing that stuff, and I wasn't a part of any of that. which that stuff was the coolest stuff, like chainsaws and Molotov cocktails and smashing windows. I'm like, this is cool. This is the E in WWE. This is the entertainment. You know what I mean? Like that's cool stuff. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna get to do that. That's fun. Um, and then how that came about was they just needed people who weren't doing anything on NXT. So all I was doing was being a jobber on NXT. So they needed people who already lived in Orlando for one thing, so they didn't have to, flights and stuff. No one could be doing flights. So that helped that we were there. We could actually work, and we weren't doing anything storyline on NXT. Like I remember when they were like, I remember talking back to the writers down at NXT, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm finally up on Raw, and they're like, oh, I didn't know you wanted to go up to the main roster. I'm like, have you been holding me back from going there? Because of course I didn't want to be here losing to every single person you think you get a hunch about. Like, dude, I lost to everyone there. People who stuck around for a week or whatever, they valued over me in that sense. So I was like, thank God, get me out of NXT and onto this thing. And then like there's a characters with a storyline. We hadn't been given names or anything, so we did it for a couple of weeks. We were just like the hooded people. Then they established the 5 of us or 4 of us at the time. 4, and 4 of us at the time. And we're like, cool. And then it went down. Then the masks came in, and then the names came in, which like the masks were made by the guy who made Bray Wyatt's mask, who makes like the masks were great quality. Like the masks were great themselves. They just weren't made really for wrestling. They were restrictive, stuff like that, and they were what Vince wanted. Like when we first got the masks, they had us put them on and then go into Vince's office, and he was like, "I love them. These are great." And like if your boss is saying that, this powerful entity we all know as Vince McMahon says that, you don't go, I don't like them, I think they're dumb. You know what I mean? Like this is one of our first times meeting him, and like of course you're just going to agree with like that. Like no, we all know we should not always agree with Vince McMahon, but in this scenario you're like, yes sir, this is good, I can work with this. So and then then a week later or something, right, like half an hour before we had to go live, we're given the names, and we're just like, okay.
Hey guys, need a little extra spice in your burgers or hot dogs? Introducing Big Fork Brands. Bold flavors that will leave your taste buds wanting more. Put these sauces on your favorite grilled foods and it will make your meals taste even better. You can also check out their big sausage variety packs, cold pork jerky, and pork sticks. Man, all this just makes me hungry thinking about it. Use the code WWH135 to get 20% off of all items. Check out Big Fork Brands today.
Was yours Slapjack?
Yeah.
What was your initial reaction to being given that name? Because it's kind of like one of those like, that's interesting.
Yeah, it was that. It was like, that's not good. But I'm like, he just spurted 4 bad names to me. So I'm like, of the group. But so it was Pritchard, and I'm like, all right. I go, so because I know what a slapjack is. It's a bit irrelevant. It's a bit old. So I'm like, so I go to him, what is what is slapjack? And he's like, it's this badass old weapon. And I'm like, it's not a badass weapon. Like I guess crowbar was already taken. That's why we couldn't have T-bar. We got crow instead of like a crowbar. Mace is cool. Mace, like that works. Like, yeah, I get what they were going for. They were kind of meant to be like kind of covert weapons, kind of like sneaky weapons that you would use. Like we couldn't be called sword and gun, but T-bar or a mace is something that a rioter would use. Couldn't be called tear gas, I guess, or riot shield. Like, I mean, that could have been better.
So this group lasted for well over a year, if I'm not mistaken.
I have no idea. I don't think well over a year, maybe a year or so, but it's like the first like the first few months, man, I've main evented Raw. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah, it's a big deal.
that's a big deal. Like I was out bowling last night and we were picking wrestler names and like someone was like Macho Man, Kane, Undertaker, Shawn Michaels, John Cena, and then they picked Slapjack for me, and I'm like, all of these characters have main evented Raw. Like,
Well, that is an honor to be able to do
yep,
that, because not everybody
yeah,
has gotten that opportunity, and
no,
you got the chance to work with
yeah,
so many people over the course
yeah,
of your career.
pandemic or not, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like this thing, and then but then yeah, so we'll main eventing Raw. We were in storylines with Bray Wyatt, and then kind of the travel restrictions got lessened, and they were able to fly their main stars back, and we became the afterthought. And so it was all very much like when we first got into Retribution, we pitched all these ideas and we were very excited about it. Like we thought, like even Dijak had put he had put a lot of thought into it, and he'd pitched kind of entrance masks for us all. Um, they were very different idea, and different names and stuff like that. And so I feel like they must have read his pitch and then kind of made it their own, or just kind of smushed it in with this, and then kind of ignored all that, because like we do a promo and they're like, we want monster voices, like you have to be deranged monsters, and then they went, oh, why did you do that? That's no good. Be human. And we're like, okay, like it very much, but it made the stress of work less, because there was no point from Tuesday till Sunday. I didn't have to worry about work because I had no idea, because I get in Monday and then who knows, we'd be like, all right, we'll probably be doing this, and it'd be something completely different. So I was like, well, there's no point worrying and thinking about it. Just so it's very easy to leave work at work. Um, and I could just work out and stuff. I mean, yeah, but it was very much a stressor. Like I look at the condition of my body at that time, and I could just see that the stress of it. Like I could just see that in my body, that it wasn't there. I wasn't in a good mind frame. Um, I wasn't. I was still working out and stuff like that, but yeah, you just want to like forget about it all when you're back home.
And then the day comes where you find out that you were being let go. That had to have been very hard.
No, it was great. It was fantastic. It was hard being there, and like so for after Retribution broke up, they took away my name, my gimmick, and
Wow.
I was pitching stuff every week that just I had big ideas, and then it'd just be like, hey, what if I just stand in the background? What if I'm just a dude who stands in the background until 4 weeks in, they go, hey, who's that guy? And then by then we have a name for me. Like, I don't even need to have a name. Like, and then they're like, we'll think about it. And I'm like, for fuck's sake, like, what more can, like, what more can you pitch than just a guy standing in the background? I gave him like, gimmicks as well, like ones that like the Australian, the stereotypical Australian. I'm like, fine, I'll bite the bullet and just be the stereotype. And they're like, yeah, but then what color should your shorts be, and what color should your socks be? And I'm like, why would that matter? Like, yeah, so that I was miserable. And then so when I got the call, I was like, cheers, thank you. Like, because it's also that was the year that they let go of like 70 people in the company, like 30 something wrestlers, and I made it to the end of the year. Like, and I like for that year, that whole like when they started playing, I had no gimmick, I had no name, no gimmick, and I was put on TV. I was written onto TV and taken off 4 times. Four different times. They'd be like, "All right, so Shane, you're in this one, and oh, now you're not." And I'm like, "Why? Just don't say anything to me, man. Like, stop getting my hopes up."
Well, to be able to wrestle for a company that you grew up watching, I mean, that's still considered like a dream come true, because you got that exposure.
To an
You're on
extent.
you're on TV.
No, I'm not. I wasn't. Like, you know what I mean? I was on NXT, but then on the main roster, I wasn't. Slapjack was on. Shane wasn't. I never got a chance to be on the main roster with my own face. So when I got let go, I had no equity. It's also, I hadn't been on TV for a year. I hadn't been on TV with my own face in 3 years. So this meant nothing to anyone apart from Japan.
But the idea that the name, now that people know who you are now, you could add the letters WWE to your resume. You're now with Noah. You're the champion currently.
Yeah.
I mean, let's talk about how you got into Japan and now you're back in Japan. Why did you decide that was the place to go?
Because they offered. That's how, like, you get to an age and like you don't, like, I was, like I said, I didn't benefit from being in WWE. Not like, people who are getting released now, they're like, oh, they'll go to TNA, they'll go to AEW. None of those offers like that. None of that came to me. Because I was Slapjack and then I was nothing. So, and even when I was in NXT, I was a jobber. So I didn't have any equity. The only thing I got from WWE was saving my money. Like, I got paid very, very well, like, to be Slapjack. So I made some good savings from that. When I got released, New Japan was running shows in LA. I lived in LA. They were running shows in LA every month. Bronson had been going back there. So yeah, it worked out. Like, I'd go visit him when he'd have shows there and I was off. And it was funny because people were like, oh, are you in New Japan now? And I'm like, oh, no, I'm on Raw. I'm like, no, you silly bastard. I'm on Raw. And then like 2 months later, I come back to the show. I'm like, hey, can I have a job here now? And I got rehired I got picked up by New Japan because of my previous stuff in Japan. It had nothing to do with being in WWE. I don't think I've ever seen a poster apart from, I did a couple of appearances straight when my release date came up. I don't think I've ever seen a poster with my name and WWE on it. No one ever bothers to put former WWE. It's New Japan, Noah, AEW, Ring of Honor. I rarely, only at the very start. And then, yeah, no one's ever asked to book Slapjack. No, like, you know what I mean? So I got back with New Japan because of my previous work in Noah in Japan.
Who would you say have been some of your favorite opponents that you've gotten to be in the ring with over the years?
Ooh. Kenta. Kenta's one of my favorites for sure. We always have fun in there. Akiyama was one that I'd say was really good. Ricochet. I got paired off with Ricochet a lot in NXT, and we got to like do so much stuff. That was so much fun. He was so easy to work. I love wrestling people who just have moves so that I can not do moves and then I can just work off of theirs. Johnny Robbie, me and her always have good fun matches. Damn, yeah, it's hard to say. Like, it's just so many people. Duncan Yankees, back in the day, me and Mikey used to have like really good tag matches with them. And we worked each other. So that's Tanaka and Sugiura. We just have like, great matches with them. So easy. We just knew what to do. But I actually really, there's rarely anyone that I don't enjoy working with, because that's one thing with experience. I've learned to adapt and to make the best of whoever I'm in the ring with, to work my style integrated with theirs. So. Yeah,
like you have to find those people that you feel like you'd clash and mesh well with.
Yeah, and if there's someone you clash, it's like, and that's like, I am older and I have more experience, so especially if it's a younger person, I'm like, yeah, cool, we'll just do it your way and I'll fit my stuff in. A lot of the AEW stuff that I've done in the last few years has been like 6-mans and stuff like that. And there are a lot of big personalities in them. And I'm like, cool, 6-man. And like a lot of times we only have 6 to 8 minutes. So I'm like, it's not about me getting my shit in. It's me making the best of the little that I can get in, or making your stuff look so good that people are like, damn, that guy took it really well. So there is a moment when you're selling that you can steal the spotlight with a sell.
You're currently with Pro Wrestling Noah, currently the GHC heavyweight champion. Describe the feeling of winning the title and carrying that brand with such prestige and honor.
It's amazing. It's something like, and I've talked about this before, that like I'm 40 years old now, 41 this year, which, I mean, nowadays in wrestling, that's the perfect time to become a world champion, apparently. But yeah, with how, like, I had a really bad last year where I was kind of prepared to step back from pro wrestling this year, not retire, just not make it my priority. Um, and then Noah reached out to me and were like, "Hey, can we use you?" And I'm like, "Ask New Japan if they're okay with it. Then I'd love to. Like, I would have been loved to have been doing this stuff with them last year while I wasn't being used." New Japan were like, "Yep, no problem." Little did I know I wasn't with New Japan anymore, apparently. So, yeah, I figured they'd just have me come in and do tag stuff. You know what I mean? And then when they were like, "Oh, we're just going to bring you in for at first," I was like, "Oh, cool, that'll be fun just to like get back into it." And then they're like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna have a title match, your first match." And I'm like, "What?" And then they're like, "Oh, it's going to be at our second biggest show of the year." I'm like, "Okay, damn." And then like, yeah, I win the title, which is justification. It's validation that I had a lot of self-doubt in myself last year, like, because I'd have matches, especially in AEW, and I'm like, people, that went really well and people really liked it, and I'm like, and then I'd get no offer, like never got an offer to join AEW, things like that. New Japan, we had a contract with New Japan, a per dates contract, and they weren't using us. So I'm like, wow, I must be that bad that you don't want to use me. You'd rather just pay me not to use me. And then I go to AEW and Tony's like, that great match, high fives and stuff like that, and then no offer to do anything there. So I was like, yeah, maybe I am done. Maybe I am washed. I feel great in the ring. I'd go to training and I'm like, I feel like I'm teaching people good stuff and I feel like I'm doing good stuff in the ring. But yeah, and then yeah, to have a match and then like, and it to be so well received and it to go so well, I'm just like, it's validation of, okay, I am good. I am as good as I think I am, which I'm a modest. I joke around of being bragging and whatnot, but I am a very modest person. I can't take a compliment. And so it's like, that was good. And then like, then I defend the title and then I defend the title and then I defend the title. I'm like, they're seeing something in me. And that's, Noah has always been good to me like that. Like I said, we started at the bottom with Noah and then rose up to be 2-time tag champs, Tokyo Sports Tag Team of the Year. And that was just by being honest and authentically ourselves and doing the best we can. But it was also Noah trusting us and being like, I see it in you as well. And that's crazy to me that they see it in me. They see it in me at the moment and they're still pushing their younger stars. But yeah, I'm still the champ. So it's very, it means so much to me to be acknowledged and recognized like this.
I want to switch gears and talk about some of the stuff you've been able to do outside of the ring. I know you're very passionate and have been active in your community with various causes. What kinds of things have you been able to do as far as giving back is concerned?
Especially like when we were in NXT, they have a lot of like charity things and that, and like I love doing it. Like we did the plane pools, we did some like school visits and stuff like that, and those I really like doing it. And I see all like the charity stuff they do now, and I really enjoyed doing it every time they asked us to do it in NXT, and we always said yes to it. But then I mean, it's the same with interviews and whatnot. Like every time we do charity or interviews, people loved us. The organizers and that loved us. But, like around the PC and whatnot, I'm a very loud Australian. So they'd be like, oh, Shane's a bit of a time bomb. You can't have him out there. I'm like, I'm a professional. I know what I'm doing. I know when to be silly and when to be normal and be, I know PG. So they should have used us for more stuff, and they just didn't for what. But they also had, the hand-picked people they wanted to use. In Japan, there's a little bit less of it, but there still is things where we've done things where school career days where kids would come to the dojo and like see and talk to the wrestlers and see what like a career in wrestling could be. Which I'm like, that's amazing. Imagine like having that as a kid, like in high school, and then doing a career day and going to you could be a pro wrestler. That's insane.
You wouldn't
And
even
then,
think about it.
Yeah, done a few community outreach things with them. Now that I'm more home and stuff like that, I should be doing more. I should be doing more. I just I like to my community. I don't do the charities and stuff like that. I like to just take care of my community, like the housing impaired people around my area. If we can get some extra waters and drop the waters off around the spots where they are, or I always keep loose change on me, or not even just loose change. I keep change on me to give to the people immediately around me, make sure that they're okay. Um, there was a guy on the corner where I used to live, Richard, and I'd see him every day and check in on him. A lot of stuff with dogs. I love dogs. Dogs are my favorite people. Me and my wife have so many spare leashes and collars, and we've got the readers and stuff like that, because there's people need to take better care of their animals and make sure they don't. There's so many people lose their dogs all the time. You wouldn't do that. Don't lose your children. Don't lose your dogs. So we're always keeping an eye out for stuff like that. And we got a new neighbor now who works with a dog shelter and stuff like that. So we're always collecting as many towels and blankets as possible for the dogs and cats, I guess, too.
Animal rescue is just such an important thing because there's so many animals that need love and attention and care out there. And so whenever you get a chance to go out there and really give those animals, fur babies, a home, it's just it just goes a long way. It really does.
100%.
Was there a particular event? I think you had talked about it earlier with the speaking, but was there a particular fundraiser that was very heartwarming for you that you were involved in?
Oh God, yeah. What was it? Damn it! I wish there was one right on the top of my head before I started this interview, and I lost it. It's there's ones where they're kind of all blurring. It's been so long now since I've done a lot of the big ones, but just ones where everyone's on the same page, and it's not where you forget what you're there for, because everyone's just there to have a good time, regardless of is this one of the people we're doing the charity for, or is this just is one of the helpers and things like that. So a lot of the special needs. The Special Olympic ones, things with anything to do with Special Olympics, the Paralympics, sorry, that stuff's great because those athletes are athletes. They're amazing people, especially the children. The Paralympics and things like that. They're just, it's so cool to see people be top level athletes no matter what their situation, and they are top level athletes. I've seen kids who squander their talents and whatnot, and then that's heartwarming stuff.
It's incredible to see how well these kids are able to jump or to fly or whatever it is that they're able to do. I could never do that.
They're just their strength of their heart and their want to do something regardless of situations, or they'd go to the Olympics. It doesn't even need to be Paralympics. They'd go to the Olympics if then they should, if they're on that level.
What is it about giving back to the community that gives you the most joy?
I think it's just everyone open-mindedness. To see open-mindedness. We live in a world now where people like to divide, and then us versus them, where it doesn't need to be, because we're all inhabitants of the same planet. And that's what we should really be more focusing on than our differences. We should be focusing on our similarities. So that's charity equalization is definitely and in these big ones where there's so much going on and everyone's just having a good time, you don't think about the bad things of they're trying to take this from me, or they're doing that to me. It's we're all just people hanging out, and that's what it should be.
Community. It really, it's what it comes down to at the end of the day is community. And I think wrestling is a perfect escape for people that are just going through so much, but they can sit down for a couple hours a week and whatever, just go to their, even not even just watching the big promotions, but just going to your local wrestling show, events, independents. I mean, that's just at the end of the day. I mean, support the local independents around you, because it's good business for them, but also these people can go. You never know where they can go. They could go to major promotions.
Could be the world champ. But it says I think I don't watch a lot of wrestling anymore on TV or on on things. I love wrestling. Live wrestling is that community, and where you can get all caught up in it. Even if I'm just watching through the curtain, I think it's meant to be experienced live. Like, you go to a concert, you listen to a music on the radio and you're like, yeah, this is good. But you go listen to the same thing live and you're like, this is amazing. Like, it's live. Nothing beats live.
No, it's a whole nother experience because you're seeing it in person. You're not seeing it on TV or in your car.
And you're sharing that like experience with people, and that's cool.
Exactly. Yeah. Well, you've had such an amazing career. What are your future goals in the business? Things that you haven't done already that you would like to accomplish in the future?
I don't really know. Like I have no. I would love another WWE run as myself. You know what I mean? Like a lot when that year that everyone got fired. When Hunter then took control, he rehired most everyone, not everyone, and everyone they might not be there now. They might have been long gone again, but at least they got a chance. They all got a chance, and I never really got a chance with this dumb face on the main roster. I love to be in a Royal Rumble. I love the Royal Rumble. That was my favorite thing growing up. That was my favorite pay-per-view, even more than WrestleMania. It was the Royal Rumble. I'd love to do a Royal Rumble. Got real close, but no cigar. That, and then just now as I'm getting a bit older, just kind of like chilling out with it. Like this title run might be my last big go for it. I feel like there's a role for me backstage or, in these groups helping. I love training people. I love helping the new generation and stuff like that. So I'm definitely not done with being in the ring, not by a long shot, but I think there's a mentorish trainer role, producing role for me somewhere there in wrestling.
Are there people right now, people on the horizon, people coming up that you look at and go, man, this person looks like they're the next big star. I'd like to see them get a run somewhere.
I don't know about big star because it's like I don't know what they're looking for a big star, but like definitely, man. I live in LA, so we have so much wrestling. There's so many incredible people there, and a lot of them, like I see that there's a tryout coming out, and they're putting all these people into tryouts. You know what I mean? There are these things. Johnny Robbie killing it down in Mexico and everywhere she goes. And I've seen that from when I first got let go. I went to training and she was like the bump dummy for everyone, was just hitting their moves on her and stuff. And she was like, yep, cool, dust off and keep going and learning from it. And that kind of reminded me of like when I first got into it, I was indestructible. So I took everyone's moves and I had endless energy. So I'd keep getting up. Inamura, I'm wrestling him over here, and he has had stints in NXT. I think he could do really well going back there. There's a lot of really good young talent in Noah that I'm still learning from there. My TMDK, every TMDK guy deserves more of a run. I mean, Tito's not an up and coming guy. He's an older boy, but he deserves his flowers. He deserves a proper run of things. Fujita, Oiwa, they're awesome. All my boys in person, and that's the thing. Like the Team DK guys, like Marcus Pitt and Damian Slater, they've been wrestling for 20 odd years now, but they deserve a chance. They deserve to be seen on a large scale in like AEW and WWE. They're still putting out quality stuff. So, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of exciting talent coming up soon that are going to do big things, and hopefully we'll see them make their way onto the big stages. And I hope
Alan Breeze too. Alan Breeze is one of my favorite guys to watch wrestle. He's a New Japan Dojo guy. He sticks around LA a lot, but bring him out places, guys. He's so good. He's such a treat to watch wrestle. He reminds me of a old Ring of Honor Bryan Danielson. So,
yeah. Hopefully we see them coming up soon, and hopefully we see another run from you somewhere soon on the big stages. Yeah. Shane, this has been wonderful getting the chance to speak with you. I want to say thank you for coming on to Wrestling with Heart. It means a lot to me and to my listeners and viewers that are watching this on YouTube. Where can people find out more about you on social media? If you have anything you want to plug, feel free.
Google. Go to Google, and then type it in. I've got my social media accounts. I'm mostly an Instagram guy, Shane TMDK, but follow Pro Wrestling Noah. They're doing great things. Like, their social media stuff is getting quite on point. The company's still growing, and I hope it keeps growing. And I love being there, being a part of that. We have a great community there. And that's really it. There's a few things around LA that I might do every now and again, but not too much. I'd say check out Millennium Pro Wrestling. There's kids there, kids and men and women of all ages, doing a show every Friday night, and they put on some matches that I'm like, that's better than a pay-per-view match I just watched. I go there every now and again, not too much, but not too much at the moment. But yeah, follow mine, Millennium Pro Wrestling, very cool. EPW Perth they just threw out a whole show's worth of stuff on YouTube for free, and it's top quality stuff. So that's my thing. Follow Pro Wrestling Noah, Millennium Pro Wrestling, more wrestling by Peter Avalon. That's going to be huge soon in LA. EPW Perth.
All right. Well, Shane, thanks again so much, and you're more than welcome to come back.
Beautiful. Thank you for having me, mate.
It's my pleasure. And remember, get your copy now of Champions for a Cause Volume 1. It is available now on Amazon.com for $15. It's got some amazing stories in there from Mark Marrow, Tito Santana, Buff Bagwell, and so many others. Check it out now. I am Stanley Carr, and I will see you next time.
This is Wrestling with Heart. I hope you found this podcast to be informative and entertaining. If you did, please hit the subscribe button and look out for the next edition.